if it's tending to positive, so if it's higher than the middle of the scale, then I'm checking how many people fall in the two lower values, so in 1 and 2. So I have all of those metrics we can see, and I'm aggregating overall Y prompts and overall statements as well.
Okay. I mean, it wouldn't be surprising if we don't see extreme values. I read few papers. Everyone has felt the same issue with typical LLMs, that because these LLMs didn't see that variety of data, so more often than not, like, be safe and give average numbers. There is one I found on Hugging Face where they train based on some sort of, these kind of questions they ask to people on different, related to different kind of attitudes, and fit the data to the LLM, and then try to then query back and compare that against existing ones. They see a better response. So if we don't see, I think we already know the answer. So then, we'll have
But
to
if
figure out and get some data to train our own.
But I think if we don't see, we can still try to play with the prompt, like just try a few more things, right? To get, or you don't think we'll get it?
We can try, but we will never be able to match as good as with the human. So maybe let's, out of 100 we see 1 or 2 giving either 1 or 5, but in reality you could have 5 to 10% people giving 1 and 10. Again, we won't know until we have data from some company or somebody who has done it. So we try to replicate and see if we can reach. Otherwise it's just, we can try as much as we can.
Yeah, I also have variations on the weighted average, so using the full thing, just 2 values, or just getting the most likely value.
I think whatever we have, let's just consolidate tomorrow, and I think we'll settle down on the highest to probability based number, and then basically see if that gives us bare minimum 2 class down the line. So at least that will be a good start, and then we can iterate.
Okay. Sounds good.
Thanks, Wookie. All righty. Laura.
Hi everyone, happy Monday. I've been mostly working on our content for LinkedIn, been really focusing on trying to make them as clear as possible, and I've been trying to share them with people who have basically no experience with LLMs or market research, and I figured if they can understand our content, that means it's good. So that's kind of a test I've been doing on my own. Still working on that. And that's all of my updates.
Thanks, Laura. Michelle.
Hey, good morning, everyone. Can y'all hear me okay?
Yep.
I'm getting a bit of an echo, so okay, great. All right, so I have several things to share. One, I spent some time over the weekend working on doing ICP research in Gemini and Grok. Tried Gemini failed me, so I had to move over to Grok and got some pretty cool, great report from them. But basically the point was to try to prioritize the ICPs for Subconscious by their pain points and also the likelihood of them being good leads. So I have a pretty good document on that can be a working document for marketing to really try to kick up the lead generation and sales and revenue opportunities, like kick up the volume of demos that we're doing. So I have plans to try to collaborate with everyone and the interns about creating like lead magnets for the top ICPs and trying to increase awareness and really generate some more demos so that we can, close more sales and achieve product market fit better, I think is the goal as well, so that we really, you have enough demos that you with certain types of ICPs, and then you can really get a better feel for which ones are going to be that sweet spot for the company. So I'll be collaborating with our interns about that. Let's see. And then Pablo had a great idea this morning to really focus on VCs and try to make Subconscious like flip the tables a little bit, instead of us trying to like, pursue the VCs, like create a program where we're making Subconscious really attractive to the VCs and like where they want to engage with Subconscious. So I'm going to put some thought to that. I think that's a great idea that Pablo had this morning, and definitely be working on that one. And then also, I submitted over the weekend to Avi and Pablo a research brief for my nonprofit client. So I'd like to try to get a bid for that, to just see if Subconscious could fulfill some of the needs for that particular client. I think it would be great to coordinate with y'all a little bit about that, to just try to determine can what I need done be done, how fast could it be done, and how much would it cost. So maybe we want to jump on a brief call later today and talk about that to put that together, which my deadline is Wednesday to get something to the client. So need to coordinate with y'all about that.
What is their budget?
I'm going to try to get more information on that. I'm going to try to get more information on that. I think that I have some thoughts on it as far as, it needs to be fairly reasonable, but, if I can show them like what traditional research would cost for the same thing, and, how we can do it for less, then I think that will make a really good case. So, but I'll get with you with more details on it.
Yeah, so I would say don't spend any cycles on the team unless you have, let's say, like a $50,000 budget minimum. If it's going to be less than 50K, just tell them to go somewhere else. Just so that we can really focus on the customers with budget.
Okay, yeah, I mean,
maybe is that 50K a year or 50? What's
per
period?
Per project, especially if it's not a big logo. If it's a big logo, then that's great. But if it's not a big logo,
yeah, I mean, this is the goodwill. So I think that if, we could do it, even if it's a little bit less of a budget, that there's also opportunity. This is for their B2B services division, but if we could do it for that and establish a relationship and the use of Subconscious, then I think there's also a potential use case for retail, their retail services division, which I've already given a demo to the VP of marketing about that. And, he's interested in Subconscious. So I think there's opportunity here, and I think it could be some great co-marketing. I'm doubtful it's a $50,000 budget or more, but I can explore what that could be.
great.
Yeah, I'll be in touch with you.
I mean, I don't know if 50K is the right number, but there should be some like non-zero number we consider when being asked to do custom work. Okay.
Yeah. Okay. I'll do a little research on it and get back with you from there.
Michelle, we had a conversation around this. I think what Avi is trying to do is to say that this sounds a lot like advisory, right? Custom work, and therefore the cost is your time. You're the advisor, right? Because it requires custom work, custom advice, and so making sure that we're mindful of your time. If you're going to allocate it, then they need to compensate for that advisory time. So trying to protect your time and make sure it's of value. Yeah.
Right, yeah. And I already have a contract with Goodwill, so I'm already getting paid for my time.
Okay, good. That's good.
Yeah. So this is me, putting together in that role, as already an advisor for them, putting together research plans. And I would love to be able to use Subconscious, for as much of that as possible. But it's just a matter of determining, if it's the right fit, how much, bandwidth it would take to put it together, and and if it's worth it cost wise.
Got it. Did you send that to me? I can. Let me take care of that. I don't want anyone else I can help you with that.
Yeah. Let's look at it together. I'd love to talk it through and see what's possible and not possible, and
Got it. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Michelle. Pablo, you're next.
Okay, good morning. Whoa, Gaurav, nice location, nice video. You look like some sort of like YouTube influencer with the background there. Looks very nice, very chic.
Oh, that's actually, well, you have to also compliment this coffee shop on their Miami style design, which is
Art
where
Deco.
influencers hang out. I mean, Miami people hang out in half of Miami's influencers. So
Love it. I'm gonna call you Miami Vice now going forward. Okay. On my end, continuing to outreach. I had a conversation with Alumni Ventures. I had forgotten how Alumni Ventures actually works. They're not a lead VC. They are exclusively a follow-on VC that focuses on retail investors. They're going to provide us with some feedback over the deck, as well as connect us with their pre-seed manager. So, kind of favorable, but at the same time, knowing very well that, it's not where we should be focusing our, efforts. They're also going to try to give us a list of some of their target VCs that are indeed leads that they follow and partner with. So that may be good, and having some degree of like connection from them can hold water. That was on Friday. We have a few series of demos that are coming up. I'm trying to also schedule another one with DMI, which looks very favorable. So that's pushing through. We also did a follow-up with the German agency that has shown interest. Did a demo of that last week. We should get an update by the end of this week, if not the next. And we should be getting this week an update also from Priceline. We received confirmation that Priceline met on Friday. The goal is to kind of partner with them to get a big, brand in our resume, and at the same time build case studies as a partnership. So working with Connor there to kind of get that across. So hopefully more details to come. I think that one's coming in very, very soon. Yeah.
Does DMI have a budget? Can we, at some point, can we like start either like get rid of DMI or send them an invoice? I feel like we're doing demos for them a lot. Did we BANT qualify them?
They do have budget. They spend.
What's the budget for us?
Well, they're still learning about us.
Yeah, they've been learning about us for 6 months.
Yeah.
Can we charge them $1 and see if they can pay?
We can. Yeah, sure. We can do that.
Let's do that. I'd like us to get into the habit of asking for compensation for our services.
How do we? Yeah, I'd love to get your perspective too. DMI is like a consulting branch. where, they would, that's another conversation. That's fine. I like the approach.
Yeah. We don't get what we don't ask. Have we asked them for money?
We have informed them of our pricing. Yeah, I think it's like 1,000 per seat, 15,000 enterprise, like integrations, creating their own synthetic agents, and then advisory itself, although they themselves would be the advisors to their big brands because it's a consultancy. Yeah. We have shared those numbers with them.
And so what would be the next invoice we send them? Or the first invoice?
The next step would be to get feedback on the information shared from them and align on those numbers.
Great.
And then we would send the invoice immediately thereafter, right? And we don't even have to. We can just send them a link to the Stripe that is all set and configured, and they can just subscribe directly as well. And we can provide them with a coupon code or whatever we negotiate with them. Yeah, it's all set.
Pablo, I'm curious on that one. Have they had like an extended trial for a long period of time? So are they using the tool already, like for no charge?
No, they did not have an extended trial for a long time. No, yeah, there hasn't been. I have been meeting with them internally so that like our champion can position us in front of her boss and the rest of the team that would likely use it. It's a team of 3. They spend, we know this as a fact, like probably $300,000 to $400,000 on research through Gartner and other providers per year. So we're in the final phase to kind of get them positioned, but there has not been a trial at all. We can certainly discuss it, but if there is, it would be a paying trial. We've invested enough in them for them to understand and how to use the platform. They haven't balked at that either, so we can, whatever trial there is, especially if it's an institutional one, like the way I've positioned it is, yes, we can onboard you, we can do training, we can invest in you as part of this trial program, but it is being paid. You know what I mean? And here, tell us what your outcomes are, and we're going to advise you on how to get them. But it is a paid program to get them across the finish line as a customer. Yeah. And no one has ever come back and said no to that.
Okay, good. Yeah, I'm happy to hear that. That's kind of like the approach that I've been, shifting towards as I got out of my testing phase, and shifting into like asking for money. Just try not to give away too much for free up front is basically my thinking.
Yeah. If you're answering their questions, if you are answering what their outcomes are, what their problems are, then they should be, no one will, push back on that. And in terms of pain, you know what I mean? So that's how I do it. Tell us what your problems are. Excellent. We're going to onboard you, train you on the platform. And for the first month or whatever, the program, right? We're going to go work hand in hand to give you solutions to those problems. And then you can carry your program thereafter. At that point, you're educated on the platform, right? You're already subscribed. You've already onboarded. You already have answers, right? And now you just carry it through. Yeah.
Yeah. Are you looking at sort of like stacking the charge a little bit? Or I guess it's like that's your trial period up front and then, or like a little higher charge to do all that onboarding and training and then they carry on a subscription level?
Nope. You
No.
just subscribe immediately. That's part of onboarding and training, except I'm going to give you additional value of not just showing you and introducing you to the platform, but at the same time, I'm delivering on some of the outcomes that you want to hit, just advising you
Gotcha.
really quickly. Yeah.
Okay. Well, thanks
All right.
for the background on that. Appreciate that.
This is stand up. I'd love to keep going.
All right, Roberto, you're next.
Morning, everyone. Good chat this morning with Avi. I think it's pretty clear. We've reviewed a few resources for more grants, more VCs to look at. The goal is to apply to potential up to 1 million this week. So we've looked at a few potential applications, look at more of the spreadsheet tomorrow, and just keep proceeding with all of them. I'll get that sorted with Monica and Avi.
Okay, all right, thanks, Roberto. Tatik.
Everyone, happy Monday. So on Friday, I mentioned that I'm having a little trouble with long features and feature levels. So I fixed that for AMC, graph, and willingness to pay. I pushed it on dev, so it will affect even older experiments. And there is a little job left to do in the first tab, mindset graphs, because also there I also have AMC and willingness to pay graphs. So I'll fix those today and push them to dev.
And Tatik, do we have an answer whether we can use that packages for latent class and have L2 constraints?
It allow me to add anything other than what's already there. So
Okay. Okay. So the answer is no. Okay. No worries. Thanks. Next is Eric.
Hey everyone, how are you? So I did a demo this morning for Avi for a company called Group R. Asked them for to spend $2,000 a month for 2 seats. They came back and told me that they were told an extended trial would be offered to them. So we'll go and give them the extended trial, and then we'll hit them back up based on. Is that not incorrect? Is that not correct, Avi?
I don't know. I never.
So yeah, I mean that's what they want.
Who
You know,
told them to get an
they
extended trial?
well, I don't know who told them, because I just jumped on it at the last minute. So it was really the woman I was talking to said, "Oh, we were told we'd get an extended trial," which, of course, I get it. I totally get it. So we'll go back. I'll circle back with her. It was a good demo. I don't think they have a lot of money. I don't think she's the UX person. She wasn't really a marketing person. But they deliver bulk groceries to working families. It's sort of a nonprofit. So, okay, good. There was no downside in doing the demo. It's another person that now knows who we are. They see our value. I asked for, I wanted, yeah, I want money. So I'm like, okay, do we see this? How about, I suggest you start with 2 seats at $1,000 each. Anyway, so they'll get back to us. And that's that. And then I had a company called Valley, which scrapes LinkedIn's data on Friday, gave me a presentation. Went really well. I mean, the reality is emails have not been very successful, bulk emails. I'm even making cold calls. And the only success I've had is I have a 12% conversion rate on LinkedIn. And So that's the highest conversion rate I've ever had.
Wait, you said
And I'm engaged with those
12%
individuals
conversion rate in what? Sorry.
on LinkedIn. So yeah, it's pretty good. Conversion rate meaning they've opened my emails, they've engaged with me, and we're in the middle of negotiation. We're in the middle of conversation, like there's back and forth. And so it's being logged on HubSpot. So Valley coming and pitching me about this new tech, it might be a replacement for Apollo. I'm still gathering all the data. I'm going to ask them for a pilot. I'm going to ask for an extended pilot, but again, this is not really for stand-up. So I'm just pivoting where we can go because email is difficult and phone and all of that. There's only like limited vehicles to get to the decision makers. Sent an email this morning at 6 a.m. to my people at Saudi who just got back from the cans. They all opened the email, and in the email, I told them the process that I will be sending them a proposal once they give us the data. So I wanted to create a sense that give us the data. If we convert 30% of your 50,000 at $400 a ticket, that's 15,000 people times 4. We can possibly generate a lift of 4.5 million, which again, chat came up with that, which they might go, oh, let's bump this up to all of our priorities and get this meeting with Subconscious. Because the minute we get the data, we're going to shoot them a significant proposal. They're going to sign it. We're going to move forward.
So they're not
So
they're probably not gonna send us the data without some sort of like either like.
Well, I need the first meeting. Yeah, I mean, whatever it is, whatever IP, whatever, I need this meeting, right? So I've been chasing this meeting for 3 weeks, and it turns out that their idea of time is not my time, as we know in sales. And so we ran into a holiday in Saudi. Then we ran into this huge marketing conference in Cannes, France. And so so anyway, I'm just trying to turn the heat up. I'm trying to make it happen. But yeah, Avi, there's probably going to be a lot of, IP, not IP, but you know what I mean? Whatever documents they're going to want us to sign to get their data.
So the next meeting, Eric, is to connect and have a discussion with their third-party data provider. It's like their data partner.
CSM. Yeah.
Yeah, CSM. And with them, I clarify what are those next steps, NDA, like any of those data details. So it may be technical in nature. With them as well as Saudi Airlines to kind of get all those things buttoned up, and then from there, execute on the an alignment of the contract, right? Like a finalization of the details and the outcomes that we intend to deliver. Again, there's 2 deals that are associated with this. There's the advisory program as well as the enterprise solution. This is not a business tier, so it's going to be a larger deal.
Yeah, so I'm just trying to get them back in the clear. That's what I'm doing.
Yeah.
Thanks, Pablo, for helping clear that. And then just outreach today. A lot of people have returned. There's a lot of outreach, a lot of follow-up. I'm logging everything into HubSpot, so if I get hit by the proverbial bus, you guys can keep moving. Anyway. Oh, and thank you for the, just want to throw out a thank you for the engineers. On the fly, demonstration, live, results hit, everything hit right there. They even extended the meeting 45 minutes for the results.
Who's they?
And that I am the people at Group R. In other words, the meeting was only supposed to be a half an hour. Instead, it went for an hour and a half because I ran a full demo live with the customer.
These are the ones that don't have the budget, though?
yeah, this was, yeah. Let's look at the positive. We got another person that knows who we are. Thanks.
Thanks, Eric. Gaurav.
So I got the feedback on this funding deck, and I think the guy had good feedback. Most is pretty easy, trivial to work on. I think the only one that's a little complicated is he still didn't get the message of why an LLM can't just get better and get the answer. So we need to think about how to do that without adding another slide. I thought we sort of got that with the competitive, but the LLM is just sitting among 6 other competitors. So there may be something at least to think about how to highlight upfront why an LLM will just not get better giving answers around around how it's seeded, but also how the data is analyzed. The LLM's not going to necessarily analyze the data correctly. So I think once that's all, I think I'm also ready now to start playing around with the product, since I understand now why the company exists. And I just need to work out how to do that. And I have a friend who does AI insights at a large CPG company. But I want to actually get familiar with the product before I show it to her.
Which company is this?
I won't mention it, but it's a big company,
Gaurav, I didn't understand. You said they didn't understand why the LLM wouldn't get better.
So just it wasn't clear in the slides why an LLM just won't get better and be able to provide the right right answer to the market research question.
Better compared to?
Well, better compared to what it is now, and then be able to just do what Subconscious does. I have one slide in the funding deck which is going to differentiate us from the existing competition, and it's obviously not clear in that.
Okay.
Okay. Can somebody please take over? I'll be back in 2 minutes. There's someone at the door. I'll just say the next one is Madi. Madi, please continue.
Okay. So yeah. Working on the concept testing with Subut. Fixed a couple of issues, and we need to, the front end needs to do more. So yeah, that's about concept testing, and also working on the, what is it called, trying to merge the international IPAMs, but it has some issues that for example, what is it called, threads. The threads are not in the format that you want, so that needs work. Sput will explain further this, but yeah, that's it from my side.
Madi, can we stop any and all work that's not releasing dev to production? What I'm worried about is, it's been probably, I don't know, 10 weeks, maybe 12 weeks since we've had a release to production. When I look at LinkedIn and it's like, oh, like so such and such company, they're so good, we just invested in them because every day they're shipping new features. We're shipping new features every day, but we're shipping new features to dev. And what's happening is, like, because dev is up to date and production is not, production is failing, like we're getting all kinds of issues in production. And now it's gotten to the point where my guess is, Michelle and Pablo and Eric are probably demoing in dev and not in prod. And so we have, like, the velocity, right? Like we're shipping at a good velocity, but we're shipping to the wrong environment. Is there any way we could cut over dev to prod, and then kind of maintain that shipping velocity, but kind of in prod instead of dev?
Actually, the hard question. Uh,
I know, sorry.
so first we need to make sure dev doesn't break prod. Then we should push to prod.
In this week we push. Uh, in of this
Subodh, sorry, I think your audio is a little bit choppy. I think I heard you say this week we'll cut dev to prod. Maybe. That might have been just wishful thinking also. Madi, is there anything I can do to help us get dev cut to prod in the near term? Ideally on Databricks and AWS.
So our bottleneck is the front end, and that's causing us to get block.
Anything that doesn't have a front end, just freeze it. And just freeze it and don't promote it. Or feature flag it and remove it. Don't push anything that requires a front end change. Right? Instead of freezing the business, just freeze those little features. Like I assume you're talking about the concept testing?
No, it's not just concept testing. So the changes that we made, it requires both front end and back end. So if
which changes?
we concept testing, LinkedIn, and IPAMs, these things.
new population, if we add.
Can we freeze those? Can we just not bring the new populations over? Because what I'm worried about is we keep developing in the back end, which is good. We keep shipping, but we don't ship the front end. The front end can't keep it. The front end also typically takes a month or two. There's a lag in the front end after the back end finishes. Then a month or two later, the front end ships. But if we're always waiting for the front end to ship, then in that 2 months, then we're developing new back end features, and then we kind of never end up getting to production because we're always waiting for the front end to catch up with the work that the back end's doing, which is a typical pattern. But at some point, with right feature flags, we should be able to ship to the back end in dev, feature flag them to say the front end's not done, but then still allow those features to get to production. Because we're always going to have that development lag between front end and back end. And now it's it's more pronounced now, but it's always going to exist.
We had 2 girls, Avi, last week for the front end. Did they accept?
One did, one did not, because one can only start in the fall, because she didn't get her papers in on time. I can follow up with them today. I have a lot of following up to do today. But regardless of that, we still need the ability to cut dev to production. Even if we have features in the back end without a UI.
Marty, so the chat agent is working, right? That's the only thing then we can ship to prod if there is no new changes from the front end, if we have to wait.
Chat agent is in the front end.
That is also from the front end.
Yeah.
Then okay, then let's see if Hardy is well tomorrow. We'll ask him to then disable all other stuff. That's the only way anything can go through then.
Okay.
Okay, that's not a terrible idea.
Okay, who's next? Mia?
Hey everybody, I'm just working on a report for like the end of my internship stuff and doing like comparing like A/B testing for the two recent blog posts that just went out. Well, the one that was like on LinkedIn, and then we also tested it for Beehive. I think we're trying to figure out like where it gets most interaction. And that's going live today. So yeah, but that's basically it for today. I'm working on.
Thanks, Mia. Monica?
Oh, hey everyone, happy Monday. And actually, just as Roberto said before, what I did is to fill out more about the grant list and also to write the contents for the application in the doc for Abby to review. And I think tomorrow we will set up a meeting and to discuss and fill out the application form and submit.
This is for BetaWorks?
Yeah.
And how much is that for? What is that amount?
Sorry, what did you say?
What's the amount?
One, the beta.
Yeah. What's the dollar amount?
Let me check.
It's okay.
But in the file, Monica, it was 500K.
Yeah.
Nice, thank you, Roberto.
Anything else, Monica?
No, that's it.
Okay. Who's next? Atish?
I was looking into the speed of stuff from Supabase, and the primary lag is in like suggestion, where if their selection is too small, then we expand the criteria. But like every time you expand, it's another round trip to the database. So I was thinking maybe database functions could be used so that everything's done, on that side, and then it just comes back in one round trip.
The database functions are not.
And yeah, I'm on standby.
That's not. The database functions are. I'm not confident about this. I'm 10% confident about this, but my guess is that database functions are not gonna speed things up. your limiting factor is the
Okay.
calculations on the database. Where that's called from isn't going to matter.
But it's about the fact that we call like maybe 10 or 20 times depending on how narrow the query is. I thought, at least.
I don't know.
It's a hypothesis, I guess. Oh.
Yeah. Why are we making 10 calls? Can we think of a more naive solution for expanding the population? Because whether we're making 10 calls
Sorry, can you
from
repeat that?
whether we're making 10 calls from the
Oh.
database functions or from the back end, we're still making 10 calls to the database. Can we come up with a more naive solution to expand the population without the need for 10 calls to the back end? Just like a super naive version that's fast, and then keep your function somewhere that we can use it if we want a real calculation, but there should be a fast option for users. There should be speed and there should be accuracy, and we want to optimize on speed.
Okay, let me talk to Subod and try to work that out.
I think at least the limiting criteria is the income most of the time, right? So basically, if we expand the income as much as we can, then we won't have to go through all the other ones because it will pretty much take care of education automatically if we do that way. And
Okay, so like expand
and
to. Sorry, go
yeah,
ahead.
just expand based on income. Because based on all the demo we have done, like literally people are fucking stupid. Even with 6.1, they'll get confused, like, oh, why are you then asking me to change here and there? So, like, really, at the moment, give them some population and they seem happy. So, if in future it can be speed up, fine. If not, for now, time being, just expand on income and it will do the job.
Okay.
And just to add into that, I was going through the PR, Atish, for the new country population. Here is the problem that we will have. The new ones, let's say, for example, education has so many distinct label. So there are, I think in France, there's like 9 or 10 unique categories. There is just no way we're gonna show 8 or 9. Based on what we have for US itself, that seems overwhelming for people. So this is again like I'll tell you we'll have to do. Literally take the labels that we have for US, let's say for education, and map all the educations that we have for all those other countries corresponding to that. And the same thing applies for the number of children. Because I see the way it's coded for other countries, it's like, okay, single mother with one kid or single father or married couple with one kid, we just want like a separate column saying number of children in the house, same exactly the same format as we have for the US. So we'll have to recode the data using the same labels that we have used for US. Otherwise it's going to be nightmare to maintain consistency in both front end and back end.
Okay.
Because we only have what 6 columns in US, right? We got age, we got income, we got gender, education, number of kids in the household, and education level, right? Now, not all 6 are available in all the other countries. So out of the 6, whatever is available, we should just match those columns same as with the same label as what we have for the US. And then rest can just we can dump it. That's fine. But from
So
out of these 6, we need to maintain the same labels.
so basically we need like a translation layer that maps to the US.
Yeah. So I would say we create those additional columns in the data itself so that the querying is easy and we don't have to create all those mappings and hard code in the code.
Okay.
So we can have just one independent Python file, let's say, right? So think it's like literally a function. So here is the uh, labels I want to map. Feed any file, it spits out in that, so that we can, whenever it comes a new country, we can just run and dump it.
Oh, okay. So a translation file that takes our current level and
Right.
maps it. Okay.
And generate those columns with the same column name as they have in US, so that everything is always consistent.
Okay.
And that is only for the six variable that we have for US. Rest of them just can be as it is in the data. Doesn't matter.
Okay.
So let's start with, if you can work on that today. After just putting the income expanded, that should be an easy one. And then see if you can get me at least even one country file by tomorrow, and then I can see if everything flows. And then, yeah, that's cuts the amount of code we have in backend for all the mappings by really large extent.
Okay.
All right. Thanks, Satish. So, okay, what's on my plate? So at least we have concept test working. Marty can give a demo. There are few things that needs to be fixed in the UI. So Hardy is sick today. Hopefully he's a bit better by tomorrow or Wednesday. Then he will work on that. But at least in the bare bone, you can upload the image, you can upload the statements, and you can see the numbers and rating. Marty, maybe we can show that, the one we ran, and sort of walk people through the process.
Now?
If possible.
Let me see.
We don't have to run, like we'll literally feed the same question so that people see the flow, and then we can show the output that we had.
Okay. Mm, yeah, so first user give an image of the concept, for example, this milk, and it has some information. Then give some description about the concept, what it is, or what is the purpose of that. Then, for example, this is the description. And okay, so for example, description is, we're evaluating a new on-the-go smoothie product, and we would like to understand the people's perception towards it. Then we continue. This is the first, and then there are some questions about it. So, for example, whether it tastes good or not, or something like that. So these are some questions. Then it creates some Likert scales for the questions. And then where do you wanna run the concept testing? For example, US and then California. These are the same as before, the characteristics. And this is also the same, the final review. So we have a review of our concept testing, who we want to target, and then we run the concept. Then we will have some results. So for example, we click view result, or here, doesn't matter. So these should be the questions. which that has been asked. Then there is some survey results.
So
Of course, these statements this to be fixed, but
So here, what you see basically is, let's say statement one, in this, in our context, it will be would taste great. You will have the how many people responded one, how many people responded two, three, four, and five. So that this graph will be updated based on that. So this is basically like a answering the same question. For example, what factors are important in a product, but simply just asking somebody how they feel about those features and not doing any kind of discrete choice. So this is like a quick and dirty way of answering the same uh, in a shorter way. And then below you'll see some more statistics. So for it's the net sentiment is like the top two boxes minus the bottom two boxes. So if the difference is more than 50%, that means more than half the population feels good about that feature or that statement related to that product. So that basically tells you that these are the most important one, and then which are not important you can see based on that. So we'll add some tooltip to explain, but this is how the initial setting will look like. So in terms of result, everything is done. Like you have a JSON file with all these numbers corresponding to the experiment in the database. Now front end just needs to connect those numbers and accordingly update the graphs here, so that we can have like a one quick way which more people are familiar, and then we can run the same kind of experiment using the our traditional ones and show like, okay, in general, again, like smoothie, so let's say price, flavor, blah blah blah, people will say and rank, and we'll get the ranking, and then based on that do the similar one in the discrete choice and see whether the ranking stands the same or do they differ, and that help you kind of show, okay, do people say they really do, or is it something different when confronted with making a trade-off?
The other nice thing about this about is with with this framework, depending on how reusable it is, we should be able to build Van Westendorp price sensitivity charts pretty easily.
And I mean, once the UI matures, then we can also add images into our experiment flow now. So let's say, for example, one of the product features is packaging. Rather than describing the packaging as a text, we will be able to directly use image. So that will also make the whole experiment much more realistic.
But this is a different workflow than running discrete choice on images, right?
It's a different workflow, but internally what happens, you take the image and that image gets uploaded into an S3, and the names are passed to the backend, which we then download and then translate and encode into base 64 and send it to the LLMs. So the same process can be applied even in experiment flow. All we need is the
But no, because if in the experiment flow, we'll need to generate new images.
We can generate, or if people already have, which in most cases they may have. So if we have the capability, people may bring their own image. If they don't, it's a text, default to text.
Right. I'd be curious if we use the Likert scale method with Van Westendorp, if we get the same willingness to pay as if we do discrete choice pricing. It's just a curiosity. That's very cool, guys. Very, very cool.
So, yep, that is it. Demo from engineering side, I guess.
It looks nicer than I expected. It's very good. Yeah, it looks very nice. It frankly reminds me of some of like the initial reports that the Dairy Alliance was sending us, Subodh.
Yeah,
Do you
yeah,
remember those? Maybe that was actually the benchmark.
yeah. So that's the exact image and couple of questions I used as a demo.
Oh, okay, cool. Yeah, the milk. Yeah, very cool. Even though the Dairy Alliance was the one that provided it, it's actually DMI, the one who funded it. They're the ones with the real budget. So awesome. It was very cool, actually.
All right, then. Does anyone else have a demo or anything to share?
I can demo a product, or not a product. I can demo